Mayor, the meeting is now being recorded.
Good evening and welcome to the April 22nd, 2024, 6 p.m. regular joint meeting of the Bell Gardens City Council and Successor Agency to the Community Development Commission. The meeting will now come to order at 6:08 p.m. Members of the public may view the agenda and listen to the meeting live online through the city's website as noted on the agenda. If any of the members should have a conflict of interest, please announce any item you are recusing from due to a conflict of interest prior to the item being heard. Councilmember Jorge Chavez will be joining us remotely and will now be given the opportunity to make an announcement at this time.
Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Hello? Test, test. Hello, 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 hello. Test, test, test.
Councilmember Chavez, we're having trouble here.
Hello? Test. Can you hear me? Hello? I can see my little mic icon moving, but I don't know if you can hear me.
Councilmember Chavez, we're not able to hear your audio. It's coming in low. If there's any way to maybe turn your volume up, we'll see if we can do anything on our side.
Hello, hello. Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Better? Good?
Yes, that's good. Thank you, Councilmember.
Okay. Sounds good. Sorry about that. I'll be joining remotely due to a just cause circumstance under AB 2449. Given that I'm traveling while on official city business, there is currently no one present around me that is over 18.
Thank you, Councilmember Chavez. Tonight's invocation will be given by Minister Daniel Anguiano, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by City Manager Michael O'Kelly. City Clerk, please call roll of the members of the City Council and Successor Agency.
Yes, thank you. I'll do so after the invocation and pledge allegiance. Minister Daniel Anguiano, if you would please come to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Madam Mayor, City Council, just bow our heads as we come before God. Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you in this evening. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to thank you for your mercy and your goodness. I pray for this group and this night, Lord. I pray that your will be done. I pray that your knowledge and wisdom may guide them in this meeting. Father, your word says that where there is a multitude of counsel, the city is safe. I pray, Lord, that your will be done in this hour. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Now,
Okay.
City Clerk, please call roll of the members of the City Council and Successor Agency.
Yes, thank you. Members of the Council Successor Agency, Chavez, who's joining us remotely for the first time within the calendar year under AB 2449 for just cause.
Present?
Thank you. And if there's no objections with the council, Councilmember Pulido will be excused from the meeting. Seeing no objection, Councilmember Sanchez,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena,
Present.
and Mayor Gomez.
Present. We will now move to the presentations. City Manager, please introduce the presentations.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The first presentation we have is a proclamation that recognizes Mental Health Awareness Month for the month of May. And I will turn it back over to you, Mayor, to read the proclamation, please. Thank you.
In recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month, whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas mental health involves our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, Therefore, it is crucial for the community to acquire knowledge that mental health affects the way we think, feel, and act. And whereas mental illnesses are real and prevalent in our nation, and half of us will have a mental health diagnosis at some point in our lives, and whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives and should feel comfortable in seeking help and support to manage these times, and whereas engaging in prevention, early identification, and early intervention are as effective ways to reduce the burden of mental illnesses as they are to reduce the burden of other chronic conditions, and whereas there is a strong body of research that identifies behavioral health risks and supports specific tools that all Americans can use to protect their health and well-being, and whereas another year is presented for us to share knowledge and information about mental health services and what we can do if our mental health wellness becomes a concern, and whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen has a responsibility to promote mental health and well-being for all. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Gabriela Gomez, Mayor of the City of Bell Gardens, with the City Council do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Mental Health Month in the City of Bell Gardens, and encourage all citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illnesses. Proclaim this day, 22nd day of April 2024.
Mayor, the next recognition that we have is for the Bell Gardens Police Department Community Police Academy Class CC-04 for completion of the 6-week academy. And we have a recognition for each of the participants and the graduates. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. And I'll read the certificate of recognition. Give me a sec. Do we want to name all of them or just read what it says? Okay. So the certificate of recognition, the Bell Gardens City Council hereby congratulates you on completing the 6-week Bell Gardens Police Department Community Police Academy Class CC-04. We commend you on your time and dedication in working to understand the Bell Gardens Police Department's policies and procedures, history of Bell Gardens Police Department and law enforcement, patrol functions, criminal law, records, dispatch, neighborhood watch, investigations, and use of force, including scenario training. You are an inspiration to fellow Bell Gardens residents and those working in our city on how to seek and better understand how our police department functions. And these certificates are presented to, go ahead. Sorry. Francisca Torres, Cristobal Vladimir Hernandez Urias, Gladys Velázquez, Grace Acuña, Guadalupe de Jesús Medina Urias, Juan Garita, Karime Llanes, Laura Figueroa, Laura Mayoral, Laura Serrano, Leticia Lozano, Lucila Barranco, Marcela Sánchez, María Dávila Rivas, María del Rosario García, María G. Reynoso. Uy, son muchos. Qué bueno que son muchos. María Lorenzo, Maribel Hernández, Marta Beltrán, Mayra Llanes, Reina Castillo, Rosa Ibarra, Rosario Luna, María del Rosario Pérez, and Silvia Saucedo.
So if the graduates could come join up here at the front, why don't we bring them into the bullpen for the picture? Up into the front here so that we can take a picture with the council members. And Captain Musquiz, if the mayor can provide the certificates to you to pass out afterwards.
And at this time, Officer Musquiz, would you like to say a few words about the program?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have Detective Lopez. He facilitates the Citizens Academy.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rob Lopez, and I'm a detective with the Bell Gardens Police Department. And I want to thank the city, especially the folks over at Ross Hall, for their contributions to in making this academy a successful one, and to all the graduates there in the attendance who stopped what they were doing in their busy lives and committed and dedicated themselves to this academy. So I commend all of you and thank you very much.
If any members of council would like to say a few words?
Les quiero dar las gracias a todos que estuvieron en este programa y se graduaron hoy. Muchas felicidades. Me da mucho gusto ver tanta gente en comunidad, ¿verdad? Ayudando unos a otros y aprendiendo más del parte de policía. I want to thank everybody that participated in the program. It's wonderful to see so many residents being here in community and really learning about the police department, how you can help one another in community. So thank you so much and congratulations.
Hello, hola, ¿cómo están todos y todas? Felicidades por lograr este reconocimiento de educarse en lo que es la policía en Bell Gardens. Es muy, muy importante lo que ustedes hicieron porque el departamento de policía es en lo que más se invierte aquí en la ciudad de Bell Gardens. Casi la mitad de todo nuestro dinero va a la seguridad de la comunidad. Entonces es muy importante que ustedes se eduquen y pongan el ejemplo a sus vecinos, a sus vecinas. Pero solamente tengo una observación. Me gustaría que para el año que viene, a ver si pueden agarrar más de los señores, porque vio puras señoras. No sé por qué, Pero tráiganse a sus esposos, a lo mejor, a sus tíos, porque también necesitamos que los hombres participen en estos programas para que se eduquen también y para que vean cómo funciona esa rama del gobierno, que es muy importante. Y no dejen que la educación termine aquí. Por favor, sigan adelante, entendiendo cómo funciona todo eso en esta ciudad, pero también en las ciudades alrededor. Creo que eso nos ayudaría a todos a ser mejor residentes. Pero felicidades otra vez y muchas gracias al Departamento de Policía y a los residentes de Bell Gardens.
Y para cerrar, pues de nuevo, felicidades a todos por completar este programa. Son 6 semanas de dedicación para aprender cómo funciona su ciudad, cómo funciona la seguridad en su ciudad. Esa es una inversión de su tiempo personal para cuidar de su comunidad. Y pues qué bonito que tengamos personas en nuestra comunidad que les importe tanto, que toman tiempo de su vida para dedicar un momento a cuidar a su comunidad, a sus vecinos y a sus familias. Muchas gracias y felicidades.
Mayor, the next recognition we have is to recognize the week of May 5th through May 11th as Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Before I turn it over to read the proclamation, I'd just like to recognize our city clerk, Daisy Gomez, along with her staff. These meetings run the way that they run and are documented in the way that they're run very professionally, very timely, very effective because of the hard work of that staff. And so with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mayor, and say thank you to our city clerk.
So at this time, I will be reading the proclamation. A proclamation in honor of Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of Professional Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk, now therefore be it resolved that I, Gabriela Gomez, Mayor of the City of Bell Gardens, with the City Council, do hereby proclaim and recognize the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2024, as Professional Municipal Clerks Week in Bell Gardens, and encourage all citizens to extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to our community. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Daisy.
Thank you. And Brenda's going to receive it on our behalf of our office. Most of our office has left already, but I want to thank the council and the community for interacting with our office with requests. We love serving. That's why we're here. So thank you so much for this.
Council members, statements?
If I may, yes, thank you. How long have you been with us already? It's been about a year?
Yes, it's been approximately a year.
It's been a pleasure having you, and thank you for all the work that you do. I want to take this opportunity to say that I wish we could share with the public more about your role, and not only your role, but the role of all of our departments. And I know that right now, Montebello Unified School District is working on having an event. I think, Francis, you're going to be there. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town. But it's similar to what we used to do, which was Student Government Day. And I just felt like that event was just so great because they got to see what people like you do in the city, which is, it's extremely valuable because it gives kids an idea of what they can become when they grow up and as they become professionals. So I want to thank you for all the work that you do, and hopefully in the future we get to showcase you to the youth in a more educational setting. So I'm also kind of nudging staff to see if we can get Student Government Day revived in the future. So I don't know, maybe we could do that next year or something. But congratulations and thank you.
I want to echo, my colleagues' sentiments. Thank you so much to you and your staff for all the hard work that you do. I know that a lot of things go through your office, and I don't think people understand the severity of your guys' role. It's really essential for us to be able to do our job and just for the city to function overall. I am excited for Student Leadership Day, which we are collaborating with Montebello Unified School District, that they'll get an opportunity to see the different roles that we have here at City Hall, which one of them is going to be the city clerk position. So thank you so much again.
And Mayor, if I could ask Daisy and Brenda from our city clerk's office to join the council for a photo in the round area here, please.
Absolutely. The next proclamation that we have is recognizing Older Americans Month. So I will go ahead and read that. Here we go. Proclamation in recognition of Older Americans Month. Whereas the City of Bell Gardens includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their strength, wisdom, and experience, helping to make our community stronger and more informed. And whereas older Americans are our loved ones, friends, mentors, essential workers, volunteers, and neighbors. And whereas we celebrate older Americans and all of their achievements and recommit to providing our elders with the support and services they need to thrive and age with dignity. And whereas communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds are welcomed, included, and supported. And whereas the City of Bell Gardens recognizes the need to create a community that provides services and supports the need of older Americans to thrive and live independently for as long as possible. And whereas the City of Bell Gardens continues to work to build an even better community for its older residents by planning programs that encourage independence, ensuring activities are responsive to individual needs and preferences, and increasing access to services that support aging in place. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Gabriela Gomez, Mayor of the City of Bell Gardens, with the City Council, do hereby proclaim May 2024 to be Older Americans Month in the City of Bell Gardens, and urge all residents to recognize the contributions of our older citizens, help to create an inclusive society, and join efforts to support older Americans' choices about how they age in their communities. It's proclaimed this 22nd day of April, 2024.
And Mayor, if we can turn it over to our Recreation Community Services Director, Liz Nava. She has a resident here that the council can recognize for their achievements and also for this proclamation here. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. O'Kelly. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you for allowing me this honor to introduce the gentleman who will be receiving the proclamation this evening for Older Americans Month, and that's Mr. Fernando Rodriguez. And Mr. Fernando, will come. Fernando is Bell Gardens nominee for the county's Older American of the Month of, Older American of the Year for next month. The county will be hosting a recognition event that honors senior residents and community members, and asks that each city in the county select a nominee for Older American of the Year. And so Fernando is selected for the City of Bell Gardens, and this year's theme for the event that the county is hosting is called Powered by Connections, and Fernando is a shining example of that theme. He, alongside with his wife Anna, embarked on a journey of building connections when they joined the Senior Center last year, and has just been an exemplary senior and has brought life to this community, and so we're so proud to recognize him, and thank you for allowing him to receive this proclamation this evening.
Por favor, pase.
Bueno, pues muchas gracias. Buenas tardes a todos. No sé exactamente cómo decirlo, pero me siento honrado, honorado y honrado, sí. Y le doy gracias por este reconocimiento que yo no esperaba. Pensé que además iban a intentar y salir y vámonos, no, pero pues ahorita ya se pone uno todo nervioso. Le doy gracias al centro donde atendemos mi esposa y yo. Apenas tenemos como 6 meses que nos movimos aquí a esta ciudad, después de vivir casi 45 años en Southgate. So, es nuevo para nosotros todo por aquí, pero pues nos estamos sintiendo muy bien recibidos, pero ya con este honor pues no sé qué decir, más que darle gracias aquí a la gente que nos atienden, a todo el grupo, estamos muy contentos. Y pues, thanks again.
Any members of the City Council who would like to make a statement?
Me da gusto que sé que no ha vivido aquí para mucho tiempo usted, pero que se siente confortable y que ha tenido una buen welcoming, ¿verdad? Con todos. Sí, recibimiento. Gracias por compartir.
Pues de nuevo felicidades por este reconocimiento. Necesitamos a más personas de la tercera edad, a más personas que se involucren en lo que está pasando aquí en la ciudad, y especialmente en relación con los servicios para las personas mayores. Entonces, pues muchas gracias por su contribución y felicidades. Por favor, pase para sacarle su foto. And we will continue with our final proclamation for the evening. This is a proclamation in honor of Global Love Day. Whereas the Love Foundation Incorporated, a nonprofit organization, has announced Global Love Day to facilitate in establishing love and peace on our planet. And whereas Global Love Day will establish a worldwide focus towards unconditionally loving each other as we love ourselves. And whereas we are one humanity on this planet. And whereas all life is interconnected and interdependent. And whereas all share in the universal bond of love. And whereas love begins with self-acceptance and forgiveness. And whereas with respect and compassion we embrace diversity. And whereas together we make a difference through love. And whereas the Love Foundation Incorporated invites mankind to declare May 1st as Global Love Day, a day of forgiveness and unconditional love. Global Love Day will act as a model for all of us to follow each and every day. Now, therefore, I, Gabriela Gomez, Mayor of the City of Bell Gardens, with the City Council, do hereby dedicate and proclaim May 1st, 2024 as Global Love Day in Bell Gardens, and invite all citizens to observe this day, which honors the public cause for global love, world peace, and universal joy. Proclaim this 22nd day of April, 2024. Happy Global Love Day. We will now move to public participation for items not listed on the agenda. Public participation is now open. City Clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items not listed on the agenda. If you would please state your name for the record before addressing your comments. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, subject to an overall 30-minute period. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone. When instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We didn't receive any public comment speaker cards or any written comments at this time, and I didn't see anyone raising their hand virtually on Zoom.
Thank you. If there's no objection by members of the City Council Successor Agency, I will close public participation for non-agenda items. Public participation is now open for items listed on the City Council Successor Agency joint agenda. City Clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation.
Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We will begin to hear from the members of the public that are physically present in the council chamber, and we did not receive any written comments. Cards have been provided to the mayor to call out the names.
Okay, so can we have Javier Solorzano?
Hello, my name is Javier. I'm coming from Hannon Street here in Bell Gardens. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, Juan, and Alondra. Alondra's mom is here supporting us. We are artists, and we submitted a proposal for the mural project that the city has been evaluating for the last few weeks. The three of us bonded because of art, but that's not how we met. We actually met at the art expos that the city has been putting together at Veterans Park. It allowed us an opportunity to view each other's work, talk shop, and foster a community with other artists. And that is what we wanted to bring into our proposal for the mural project, was showing how art and culture can foster community. We felt very empowered being able to submit our proposal. If we felt like we were given a real voice in how the city presented itself through the eyes of its residents, the labor of its people, and the words of its citizens. And so we really wanted that to come through in our proposal for our project and in our theme and how the city talks about itself to its residents and create some civic pride with the residents. We wanted to thank the city for organizing and putting together that opportunity and allowing us to submit. And we want to thank the council as you evaluate our proposal. And if given the chance, it would be a real honor for us to be able to contribute to beautifying the city where we live and where we grew up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, may we have Alondra?
Do I just click the button? Oh, I don't
Have to, yeah, you just start speaking.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Alondra Gonzalez, and I joined along my peers the project. I was very interested in it because I grew up here since this is the first place I came since I immigrated from Mexico. And I have a strong sense to this project that we did. And I am very proud to be part of Bell Gardens. It's, like I said, where I grew up, and I do hope this project is approved for the three of us. All three of us have a very strong sense of connection with the community. It's a very small city, it's a very small town, not many people know about it. And thanks to these art expos and these art stuff going around, it's been a little bit more known through the art community. Even me going to a larger school, people kind of know about it, and I tell them, oh, well, come to the art yard sales or come to the art stuff. So doing this, I feel it'll be a big part that I can contribute and leave in a way a spot throughout my career. Hopefully it continues. And I am very grateful to be given this opportunity to join this. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. May we have Cassandra?
Buenas tardes, miembros del concilio. Pues soy la mamá de Alondra y hoy quiero hablarles sobre la importancia de seguir apoyando el arte y sobre todo a los artistas o artesanos locales. El poder invertir un poco para que nuestra ciudad dé un aspecto ilustrativo, una imagen a nuestros parques o calles, que éstas ilustren la cultura y las raíces de nuestra raza. Y el que nuestro concilio tenga ese poder de lograr algo así, va a hablar muy bien de esta ciudad. Esta ciudad tiene que crecer, tanto en eventos como infraestructura, como en muchas cosas, y lo estamos viendo. Les voy a contar un poquito, tengo tiempo, sobre un poquito de Alondra, para que la conozcan. En la pandemia del 2020 me quedé desempleada, mi esposo también. Yo ya vengo soy nato en cuestión de pintura, mi talento es nato, pero siempre he visto algo que Alondra dibujaba muy bien. En plena pandemia empezamos a dibujar esos cuadros, esas imitaciones de artistas, y decidí irme al Paseo de la Fama de las Estrellas. Mis tres hijas, Alondra, Belén y Eva, y mi persona nos íbamos y nos poníamos ahí nuestros cuadritos, empezando con papel porque no teníamos para canvas. Durante 6 meses el arte me dio de comer. Vendía viernes, sábado y domingo y sacaba por día como $200. La gente nos apoyaba y les firmábamos los cuadros o el papel. Mi hija hacía animes, otra le gustaba hacer flores, pero de eso nos mantuvimos esos 6 meses. Alondra el día de hoy está estudiando en el Coastal Long Beach, artes plásticas, y le veo tanto potencial a ella, y que le hayan dado esta oportunidad a este equipo, se los agradezco, porque es un buen comienzo. y espero que esto se haga una realidad, porque confío en ella y en ellos, y confío que mi trabajo y todo lo que le he aportado a mi hija, mis conocimientos, los estoy viendo ahorita. Y el arte nos dio de comer, y creo que si mi hija sigue así, como le digo, también va a sobrevivir de esto. Apoyen a estos artistas locales, apoyen a la juventud que tanto lo necesita. Gracias.
Gracias. We don't have a comment card for him, do we?
No, did you want to?
Go ahead. Thank you.
To push a button or something? Okay.
No, you can.
Hi, my name is Juan Galindo, and I came from Mexicali, like 33 years ago, and ever since I was a little kid, when I drove with my dad and my mom, like around East LA and stuff, and and you see the murals and stuff, I always thought like, man, that's pretty cool, like hopefully one day I could do something like that. And I've been here in Bell Gardens for 30 years now, and I love Bell Gardens. And I just want to say that I hope we get considered for this mural art project. My partners here, they're some tremendous artists, and they've been doing it for a long time too. And I want to keep working with them and stuff. We see each other like at for example, the art walk this past weekend. I was glad to see them like side by side, and just showing our art and stuff to the city. And I just want to say, like, we've been doing this for a long time, and we hope you guys consider us. And it'd be nice to say, like, for example, I got 2 kids, and it'd be nice to say, like, hey, you know what, like, that's your dad right there, and they could tell their kids. I left 2 murals inside of Bell Gardens High School in the art class. Last time I went to check on them was probably I would say 18 years ago, so I don't know if they're still up. But I want to say, like, it'd be nice to, like, let's say if people are driving by or something, they could look at it and be like, hey, that's pretty cool. And maybe they'll say it when I'm around them, and I could be like, hey, you know what, that's me. And and that's my partners right here too. We did it together, and we worked as a team. And and what's another thing? And both of my kids draw too, and to me it'd be like it'd be a big inspiration to them, and just art is beautiful. I think we need more murals. Not just this project. Maybe hopefully there's more projects in the future so that other artists could get involved too. And because art is beautiful. Everywhere you go and you look, doesn't matter what it is. You look at it, you're like, wow, that's interesting, instead of just like an empty wall where you'd be like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. But, when you see art, it's beautiful, and it inspires little kids like myself when I was a little kid to be like, hey, you know what, I want to do that one day, and, and it's nice when you see little kids come up to you and be like, hey, how did you do that? And I just tell them, just keep doing it, keep drawing, and, one day you're going to be really good, and that's something that I preach to my kids all the time, and I think they're pretty good, and, I hope you guys consider us and for this project, and thank you very much. I didn't come with words like planned out, and I apologize for that. But thank you for letting me speak today, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, Rogelio Rodriguez.
Mi nombre es Rogelio Rodríguez. Lo que voy a hablar es tocante a la marihuana. Todos sabemos ya que ya pasó y que de una manera u otra nos tenemos que someter a la ley. Lo único que sí me gustaría saber, ya que van a venir, me gustaría, si es que ya están prevenidos ustedes para contratar más agentes de la policía, porque esto se va a empeorar. Ahorita tenemos varios problemas ahorita en la actualidad, no sé si estén enterados, pero yo creo que sí, porque como están allí, tienen que recibir la información. Entonces, las 5 tiendas de marihuana que supuestamente ustedes nos están diciendo que nos van a traer a una ciudad de 2,5 millas, creo que es demasiado. Pero sí espero que cuando menos ya estén prevenidos para en caso de que necesitemos más oficiales en nuestra comunidad. Ahorita vivimos en una comunidad tranquila, esperemos que siga así. Gracias.
Gracias. If there is no objection by the members, I will close public participation. City Manager, will you please give your report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. It's springtime, and just like all the animals and the birds and the flowers, everybody's busy. The city of Bell Gardens is very busy, whether that's at City Hall, out at the parks, out on the streets. You see a lot of activity going on the weekdays and the weekend. I want to mention some things that have just gone on and some things that are upcoming. About 2 weekends ago, weekend ago, we had our CERT training in Espanol. That was on April 12, 13, 14. We had 22 residents and 8 other residents that are just from surrounding cities around Bell Gardens that gave 20 hours of their time to learn skills in emergency preparedness, specifically for instances where there may be earthquakes, fires, things of that nature, when emergency services are not available from professional emergency services providers such as the electric company, the police department, the fire department. So very proud of those 30 participants for those skills that they received. If there is ever an emergency, they're going to be a tremendous asset to the community here in Bell Gardens and regionally. And again, 20 hours of time on the weekend is pretty impressive for people to give up for volunteer training. Also want to mention, monthly we have our rent stabilization, tenant eviction protections workshops. We hold one on for property owners, and then the next day for our tenants. We held one on April 16th and one on April 17th. Also thank the police department for another successful coffee with a cop to bring residents out to meet with the police officers in an informal setting. Also want to recognize this last Saturday, April 20th, we had our Earth Day, and new to the Earth Day event, the art walk as well. We had 35 artists sign up, plus an additional 12 other booths. So great weather, great participation, great green grass out there. Also want to mention on Sunday, April 21st, we had Shero and Bike Safety Workshop. We will have another Shero and Bike Safety Workshop on April 28th. It's at Veterans Park. It's at 10 a.m. in Spanish, 11 a.m. in Inglés. And this coming Saturday, April 27th, it's a spring cleanup. So if you're looking for volunteer hours, or you want to just come out and help clean up the community at 2 parks that we'll be discussing at a later council item coming up, at Hannon Park and also at Julia Asmus Park. The Hannon Park event will be at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. this coming Saturday. Julia Asmus Park at 9:15 to 10:15, and this is corresponding with we'll have new playground equipment coming to those parks, and then also new art coming to those parks as well, as was mentioned by some of our public commenters that are here in the audience. On Wednesday, May 1st, it's the deadline for the high school banner program. If somebody doesn't have a photo and the deadline hits, don't worry. We have a city photo day on May 7th and May 8th. You can find that on the calendar. So if you're a parent out there and you have a reluctant high school student that says, oh, I don't have a picture, I can't do it, that's not going to stop them. So please apply for that. We'll put your picture up on a banner. It'll be on our major thoroughfares here in the city of Bell Gardens so we can celebrate your accomplishments. Also want to mention Friday, May 3rd. It's the scholarship application deadline. Also that Friday, May 3rd, after you get your scholarship put in at 6 p.m., we have our monthly first Friday of the month Punk at the Park. So we have music and other festivities going on at the skate park over at Veterans Park. Another big event we're excited for on Sunday, May 5th is the BG Community Ride and Bike Rodeo. It's at 8 a.m. at Veterans Park. The police department has done a bike rodeo in the past. This year it's been expanded to a community ride, in addition to the training that we've offered the last weekend and this coming weekend. Again, 8 a.m. at Veterans Park. You can find this on our calendar, social media, etc. Also want to mention another deadline, Monday, May 6th, Cesar Chavez Art and Essay Contest deadline. And then just a few broad items I want to mention, just Bell Gardens Connect mobile app. So we continue to build on the mobile app. If you're a resident out there, you know a resident, or you're a visitor and you need services from the city of Bell Gardens, or you see something as you're driving around, take a picture of it, download the mobile app. It's Bell Gardens Connect. You can find it, it's free, and you can report those things to us. So if you see something and you are willing to take 30 seconds there to send us the information, we'll be sure to get on it and take care of it. So please send us those requests for service. Also want to mention we have our Bell Gardens Community Stakeholder Survey. So this was an item that the council approved to be released about a month ago. We've already exceeded the results that we received last year, but we're not at the goal of what we're trying to receive for this year. So we're going to reopen the survey for an additional week starting tomorrow. You can fill out the survey through multiple mediums. You can find it on our app. You can find it on social media, our website. Any of our physical offices, we have boxes with a QR code, and we also have paper copies you can fill out if you're in one of our offices too. So if everybody here hasn't filled out one of the surveys, we have a box just near the women's restroom. You can scan the QR code. It takes about 4 or 5 minutes. And also you're entered into a prize drawing for the end of the survey. So we're trying to get another at least 150 responses to that survey. Also always want to mention on Fridays we have our Bell Gardens Resident Art and Yard Sale at Veterans Park from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. So if you want to look at some art and you want to look at some things people are selling, feel free to stop by, and if you want to participate, please contact us. I also want to mention just regarding community stakeholder survey, Bell Gardens Connect, just a proud moment I mentioned to the council last week. We recognize that we have achieved 7,000 followers on Instagram, something that I think we can all be proud of. I looked back and saw a meeting in October of 2019 with myself, Hyla Soto, our IT provider, Lan Wan, where we met to talk about social media. And I also would like to give credit to the Mayor Pro Tem, Barsana, sitting next to me here. The meeting that staff had was in direct follow-up to the meeting and discussions that we had with Mayor Pro Tem here. At the time, City Hall had no social media. So the police department had social media, Recreation Community Services. City Hall relied on those departments to put information out. And in the last 4 years or so, with the direction from the council and specifically at that time from Mayor Pro Tem, and I would say with 99.8% of the credit to Hyla Soto, our assistant to the city manager, we have 7,000 followers, and when we put information out there, people get the information seconds later. So great improvement, and very happy, very proud of that accomplishment. And very thankful for all the work that Hyla Soto does for the city of Bell Gardens. The last thing I will say is a big deal. Ford Park is, as our Recreation Community Services Director said, like Disneyland. We just opened up the sports field again after a big cistern project. And just as that attraction opens up, we gate off a significant portion of the park to build a new aquatic center. And so while people are enjoying the softball fields, baseball fields, a little bit of the walking is obstructed right now. We're working on that as well. But the Aquatic Center construction project is beginning. If you drive by, take a look, you'll see there's an impact in the parking lot there. We're working to make that a little bit easier in and out while the construction goes on. This is an approximately 16 to 18 month project. So anybody out there that has doubted that this project was going to go, as we've been working to get funding, working through COVID and things of that nature, take a drive by there or look on our social media. We'll continuously be putting updates out there. It's going to be a great project. When you see the fencing size, if you live in Bell Gardens or you come to Bell Gardens, I think you'll be impressed and surprised at the size and scope of this project. It's pretty amazing. And the last thing I'll say is we're also at Ford Park working on an LED lights project. It's about to wrap up in here somewhere in the next 7 to 14 days. We'll be coordinating with the council for an LED light flipping of the switch ceremony. And with that, I thank you for the patience, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. So we will now move to the consent calendar. Does any member of the council successor agency wish to pull an item for separate discussion? I would like to make a motion to pull item number 5 for separate discussion. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Members of the council and successor agency, Chavez?
Yes.
Sorry, Daisy, just for clarification, so we have a motion to approve all items on the consent calendar with the exception of item number 5, is that correct?
That's correct.
And is that a second, Mayor Pro Tem? Thank you.
I will second that. Thank you.
Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanchez? Mayor Pro Tem Barcena?
Yes.
And Mayor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes, Mayor, at this time, we would proceed with consent item number 5.
Okay, so I pulled this item for discussion because I was watching the Planning Commission meeting, and there were some statements that were made that I need some clarification on. So during the report that was provided by Mr. Flores, there was a statement that was made actually twice, that the city council adopted a 10% of gross receipts of sale and an annual $100,000 public benefit fee in exchange for a 5-year development agreement with an option to extend for another 5 years for a total of 10 years term. My question is, I don't recall that this council body ever voted or ever approved a 10% rate. So I'm confused about that because I don't think we've ever voted on that. And in the previous ordinance and in the current ordinance, there's nothing in there that states what the rate is. So I wanted to ask, you know, how, and that's a pretty big statement, right? So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that no one here on this council body has any role in negotiating any rates or anything like that. So if you could please clarify some of that?
Yes, Mayor, I'll ask our Deputy City Manager, Community Development Director to discuss those comments. But I would just say briefly before he speaks, certainly the direction from the council was to direct staff to conduct negotiations without that level of specificity. Ultimately, whatever is negotiated goes through the Planning Commission, comes back to the City Council, and the City Council has the discretion to revise, approve, not approve. It's simply staff recommendation. So with that, I'll turn it over to Gus Romar, our Deputy City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Mayor and members of the City Council, for clarification, I did hear that comment. What the Planning Commission's intent is to say that they approve of staff's recommendation, and overall that recommendation is to recommend to the City Council approval of the development agreements, and those development agreements have within them those provisions that you just mentioned about the 10% revenue and the $100,000 per year public benefit. So just for clarification, it was a recommendation to the City Council to approve the development agreement.
Okay. So, and the reason why I bring this up again is because I want to make clear that everyone knows that none of us here are in any way negotiating the terms of those agreements. These are, from my understanding, the development agreements are negotiations, correct? That go on between city staff and the operators that are looking for a permit, right? A conditional use permit.
That is correct, Mayor. Once the application has been deemed complete, we start with the negotiations on the terms of the development agreement. And once the applicant says, yes, we're in agreement with those terms, then we move forward to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission is only approving the conditional use permit and making a recommendation on the development agreement to the City Council.
And I just want to clarify, Mayor, so those development agreements will be coming at a future council meeting for your approval, but here right now, we're only discussing an ordinance that pertains to the regulatory permits, not the ordinance for the development agreements, the CUPs, or anything that was discussed during the Planning Commission.
Great, thank you. And again, I just want to make sure that no one out there has the impression that this is not a negotiation, that this was something that was approved and that is, you know, that is set in stone. Because further along in the discussion, there was a statement made that any changes to any of these rates or anything like that would have to be done, it would have to be done by recommendation from the Planning Commission to the City Council. So I'm a little bit confused with some of the statements that are being said. I'd like for those to be clarified.
We will make sure to, at future meetings, clarify that with the Planning Commission, so whenever they make a statement, it's a recommendation on those only, and no approval of anything.
Great, thank you. And let me see, I had one other question. Regarding the new ordinance, again, can we just clarify that whether this is an entitlement or this is a conditional use? And the reason I'm asking is because we did say that we wanted to limit it to no more than 7, correct? But does that mean that if they fulfill all of the requirements that we must approve 7? Or is it up to us to determine, okay, well, even though they fill all the requirements, we don't know that this is right for this area, maybe there's too much saturation in an area? Do we have that discretion to say, you know what, let's put the brakes on this one, we've already got too many in this area, or for whatever other reason?
Mayor, we have our City Attorney Paloma McAvoy on Zoom, so she can answer that question for you.
Good evening, can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. This is Paloma McAvoy from the City Attorney's Office. The business regulatory permit is a completely separate permit from the entitlement process. Entitlements run with the land, so they attach to wherever the property is located. Permits, however, attach to the operator. Your municipal code has a list of items that need to be provided in order to obtain a business permit, and that includes the acquisition of a conditional use permit, so they do need to provide that as well. There are, if the operator does not comply with the operating standards that are in your municipal code, they could be subject to revocation as well. So there are some penalties attached if you have an operator who is not playing by the city standards. However, it is separate and apart from an entitlement or a conditional use permit, as you stated earlier.
Okay, so then to clarify, does that mean that we are able to say, you know, even though they've fulfilled all of the requirements, for X reason, we feel that this is not appropriate?
If I may point out, I'm not business regulatory permits are issued by BGPD. They're not issued by the city council. And it's a ministerial function. It's not a discretionary review process like the CUPs and the DAs that will be before you.
So I think, and I'm not sure if I just want to make sure I'm addressing our city attorney's I think concern with the item here. So I think the question's really related to I think not so much just the business regulatory permits, but the actual applications that come through the CUPs and the development agreements. If a CUP and a development agreement come before council, and as the mayor stated, all the conditions of the ordinance are met, does the council still have the discretion to disapprove the CUP and or the development agreement?
I just want to clarify, we are only talking about the business regulatory permit for this item only. So a CUP or development agreement is completely irrelevant from this ordinance. That's a separate ordinance that we adopted. So this is specific to the business regulatory permit that's under, as Paloma mentioned, under the police department's purview. Is that correct, Paloma?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Can I make a quick comment because I want to get some clarification? I'm confused as to the questions that are being asked for item 5 because I don't think they pertain to the ordinance. So I'm wondering, Mayor, what specifically to item 5 do your questions pertain to? Because I'm getting a little bit confused as to the questions that are being asked specifically for item 5.
Well, I'm bringing this up in the context of us approving or disapproving any items that come to us regarding cannabis. I think that there are a lot of questions out there, and so I felt that this was the moment to bring it up. If it's not the appropriate moment, I apologize. That was my intention, though, was to clarify how this process is going to play out.
So at this time, we can only discuss, sorry, Mayor, you can, at this time, we can only discuss the ordinance at issue on this item, so not cannabis as a whole, but only this specific ordinance.
All right, thank you.
And Mayor, if I can just add, staff we can meet separately to discuss some of the specifics of this, and then also, as City Attorney mentioned, we're anticipating at the next council meeting that there will be agenda item that's specifically related to these questions that you're asking, but I think we can probably help get them answered prior to as well, but then there could be more public discussion as well at that time.
If I may, I'd just like to say a comment. I appreciate the question. I understand your question. And I would also be interested in further clarification, even though I think I know the answer, but it never hurts to make sure. I think the discretion is always at the council's decision. That's what I understand, but if that is not the case, I would love to hear more about it, either now, but probably not now, according to our legal, but at a later item placed on the agenda or whatever needs to get done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? So seeing no other comments, then may I have a motion to approve item number 5?
I'll move.
Second.
City Clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Yes, thank you. Members of the Council and Successor Agency, Chavez?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena?
Yes.
And Mayor Gomez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
If there is no objection by members of the City Council, I would like to move item number 16 as item of first discussion. Okay, seeing no objections, can we please discuss item number 16?
And Mayor, so announcing item number 16, this is an item that's a result of an RFP that the city put out for some grant funding that we have for murals at Asmus Park and Hannon Park. These murals are part of grant funding that we received to replace the playground equipment at both of those parks. I think they're both parks sometimes people forget about, but if you live near the area and you don't want to go all the way to Ford Park, Veterans Park, these are great alternatives. An RFP was put out. Staff received approximately 8 proposals. They were reviewed, and we're bringing to you what staff and the proposal team believes are the top 2 submissions. And with that, we'll turn it over to Bernie Iniguez, our Public Works Director. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. O'Kelly. Good evening, honorable mayor, members of the City Council. For a little bit of background, the city submitted a competitive grant application for the Clean California Local Grant Program. And in June of 2022, the city was awarded approximately $510,000 for the Bell Gardens Ski Parks Clean Beautification Project. This project will renovate Julius Russ Asmus Park and Hannon Park by replacing existing playgrounds, also the existing playground surfacing, replacing existing picnic tables and trash receptacles, installing new anti-litter signs, artwork, and informational signage about the history and culture of the community, as well as the planting of trees at both parks. The scope of the project requires 4 artistic elements be installed, 2 at each park facility, and staff concluded that painted murals to beautify the parks would be the best choice to achieve the project's goals and objectives. The grant itself provides an allocation of $24,000 for the artistic elements. On February 15, 2024, the city released the request for proposals or call for artists for outdoor public art murals. The call for artists was then advertised on the city's social media outlets and also on the city's website. The interested artists were then asked to provide 4 public mural design concepts that reflect the spirit, history, and culture of the city, and we provided suggested matter for them to consider, which included the LA River, the Rio Hondo, Julia Ross Asmus, the history of the city as an agricultural center, and farming community for immigrants, Don Antonio Maria Lugo, and Casa de Rancho San Antonio. We also provided 5 potential sites where the murals would be placed. This was included in the RFP to provide inspiration and guidance to the artists. At the RFP deadline, we received a total of 8 proposals. These proposals were then evaluated by a committee consisting of public works staff, recreation and community services staff, and also staff from Avant-Garde. And we rated these based on the criteria that was established in the RFP. Great emphasis was placed on the artist's experience, their understanding of the requested services and requirements, and the proposed mural concept's reflection of the community's vision and spirit. The committee identified 2 artists or artist teams that strongly met the goals of the project and the requirements in the RFP. Listed in alphabetical order, they are Hartzog and Crable Inc., and the artist team of Javier Slorzano, Juan Galindo, and Alondra Gonzalez. The slide before you illustrates the potential sites for murals that was included as part of the RFP. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Megan Lenu from Avant-Garde so she can provide a detailed description of each respective proposal.
Good evening, Council. The first proposal that we're going to be discussing this evening was submitted by Hartzog and Crable. In their proposal, HCI identified that they would acquire all the materials and equipment for the project while providing the services of an artist by the name of Candice Galvan, who has completed numerous murals for multiple agencies in nearby communities. Ms. Galvan has created murals on a variety of surfaces, including metal, concrete, stucco, wood, ceramic, and concrete. Her work extends over a 15-year history, serving numerous public agencies, including Bellflower, Long Beach, Norwalk, and Paramount. Her artwork is located in public places and reflects the objectives of the cities that they are installed at. HCI's proposal included samples of Ms. Galvan's public outdoor artwork, which includes utility boxes and walls of various buildings. As you can see in this slide. Their proposal also included a detailed scope of services, a schedule, and total fixed fee of $23,200. Their proposal demonstrated their ability to create site-specific artwork that is responsive to the opportunities and constraints of the sites. Sorry, this is still previous work. And here are the concepts they proposed. HCI's proposed artwork concepts reflect the community's vision and spirit, focusing on the history of Julia Asmus, the agricultural history of Japanese and Mexican immigrants, the history of Bell Gardens as a whole, and the Gage Mansion. Overall, the evaluation team was impressed with HCI's proposal and felt it met the requirements of the RFP and clearly articulated the understanding of the project needs. more time to review their proposals, or if I can move on. No, okay. The other proposal that the evaluation team was impressed with was submitted by a team of artists comprised of Javier Solorzano, Juan Galindo, and Alondra Gonzalez. As you heard earlier this evening, this group of local artists grew up in Bell Gardens and have previous work within the city. Mr. Solorzano in 2022 designed and installed artwork on a city utility box in collaboration with the Bell Gardens Girl Scouts troop. The images depicted on that utility box celebrate educators. His paintings have been shown across the country, and he has spoken at colleges and universities about growing up as an artist in Bell Gardens. Mr. Solorzano is currently an art director developing national campaigns and designing product packaging, while also working on a comic book series which takes place in Bell Gardens. And there you can see the utility box dedicated to educators. Mr. Galindo has been an artist for 35 years, having exhibited work throughout Southern California. His art is abstract in style and reflects the changes the city has experienced over the years. Mr. Galindo completed 2 murals displayed at Bell Gardens High School, which he mentioned earlier. And Ms. Gonzalez is currently an undergrad working toward a bachelor's degree in fine arts. She has extensive experience in painting with oils and acrylics. And Ms. Gonzalez hopes to play a role in beautifying her native Bell Gardens through her art. The proposal included samples of each team member's past artwork, as we've seen. The proposal included a detailed description of each concept they proposed, as well as a budget with a not-to-exceed fee of $24,000. Their proposal demonstrated their ability to create site-specific artwork that is responsive to the opportunities and constraints of the site. The proposed artwork concepts reflect the community's vision and spirit, while also incorporating an informational element. The concepts focus on Julia Russ Asmus, Don Antonio Maria Lugo, Casa de Rancho San Antonio, the Mexican and Japanese farm workers, and the Los Angeles River, while also capturing the Bell Gardens trolley, the sacred datura flower, and silver lupine flower, which are both native to Bell Gardens. In their proposal, they did describe that each artist would bring their own style while maintaining a centralized color palette for theming and cohesiveness. And each subject will be paired with its own educational factoid. Overall, the evaluation team enjoyed the proposed concepts and was impressed with their proposal. The evaluation team felt the proposal met the requirements of the project and clearly articulated their understanding of the project needs. And that's it, unless you want more time spent on the mural concepts to review.
It is staff's recommendation that the City Council, by a motion, 1, select an artist or artist team for the painting of murals at Julia Russ Asmus Park and Hannon Park. 2, adopt the attached resolution. And 3, authorize the city manager to execute a contract services agreement, subject to city attorney approval as to form, with a selected artist or artist team to paint murals at Julia Russ Asmus Park and Hannon Park. That concludes our presentation, and at this point, we will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does any member of the City Council have any questions or comments?
I have a couple comments, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank our local artists for submitting this proposal. I'm extremely impressed with your ability to work together. I've seen these residents in the community at our local events, volunteering. I mean, as we speak right now, one of their colleagues, Ms. Sivaja, which is a very very successful artist in Bell Gardens, is currently giving free lessons to Bell Gardens residents in her home, which it just sort of exemplifies the dedication that all of our local artists have developed over the last couple of years. So I'm very proud to see our own Bell Gardens residents coming together and making an effort to really do something that's lasting, that's visible in the community, that provides an educational opportunity. I'm just very proud and very impressed. Whatever the decision is here tonight, you guys have done an amazing job, and I'm very proud of you. I know that it's also very competitive. There were about 9 submittals, if I'm not mistaken. There were 8 submittals. So this is not something that has been taken lightly. I appreciate the thoughtfulness from staff in making sure that you're fair with everyone and that you're choosing the absolute best. And I'm very proud that you guys are up there in the final list. So thank you, and good luck.
Other comments? Seeing none, do we have a motion to select an artist?
I motion to select the community group for moving forward with the art murals for both parks.
Do we have a second?
I'll go ahead and second that.
Just for clarification, that'll be a motion to select the artist and adopt the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to execute the contract services agreement?
That is correct.
Thank you. Second.
City Clerk, so may I have a motion to approve this item? Or do we need to do the vote on the first one first?
So there was a motion and a second done, and if there could be a roll call at this point.
Okay, yes, thank you, members of the council and successor agency Chavez.
Yes.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena,
Yes.
and Mayor Gomez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will move on to item number 14. Mr. City Manager, can you please introduce item number 14 for discussion?
Sure, thank you, Mayor Gomez. This item is the local commission's appointment list. It's staff's recommendation that the city council review the commission's appointment list and by motion remove commissioners or make appointments to the posted vacancies at that time. Thank you, Mayor.
Does any member of the council have any changes? Okay, seeing none. I thought I had asked for item number 14, but we did the local commissions first, right? So then item number 14, are we doing that discussion item?
Sorry, just for the record, that was item number 13, and now we are on item number 14.
Correct, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, item number 14. Staff is seeking direction for continuation or withdrawal for Bell Gardens membership in the Gateway Cities Affordable Housing Trust. Just to cue this up before I turn it over to our Deputy City Manager, Community Development Director, Gus Romo. About a year ago, this was a trust that was proposed to the City Council on a trial basis. The council gave direction to join the trust. With the understanding that in a year we would have to make a decision whether we wanted to continue membership or whether we wanted to withdraw from the housing trust. We can withdraw by June 30th and there is no cost to the city, or we can continue membership. And I'll turn it over to Deputy City Manager to provide information to help make the decision whether or not the city should continue to stay in the trust or not. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. I have a quick presentation here for you. So as our city manager, Mr. Kelly, was informing you, March 13th of last year is when the City Council decided to join the Gateway Cities Affordable Housing Trust by approving a resolution to join the Joint Exercise of Powers Agreement with the Gateway Cities. City has until June 30th to withdraw without incurring any membership fees. And that's why we're bringing this forward to you today to decide whether you want to continue. And if you do want to continue, there is no further action to take. You just direct staff to continue as such. If the city decides to withdraw from the membership, then there is no costs incurred. However, if the city moves forward, then on July 1st, there will be the annual fee of $15,000 that will be owed. After that, in order to withdraw from membership, you have to give the COG 6 months notice. So I wanted to give you a presentation that the Gateway Cities Affordable Housing Trust has given other communities. So far, there have been 19 cities that have joined the trust. And this is since the COG board approved the formation of the trust in January 2023 to become a legal JPA on February 14th. And as you can see in the map, those green cities, the cities identified in green, are the current trust members. So when you look at the history of the Affordable Housing Trust, there's nearly 6,000 affordable housing units that the state has financed over the past 8 years, and nearly 4,000 affordable housing units are currently in the pipeline. The city itself is looking to try to bring in additional funds under what's known as the former Burke Oil site, 100 affordable housing units that are being proposed there. This is shown in our presentation, but before I do that, let me tell you what a housing trust is. I mean, just for informational purposes for the public. It's a funding source to finance the preservation and production of affordable housing, keeping in mind that we're looking specifically at affordable housing that meets the provisions for the state requirement. It's established by state, local, and county governments as a joint powers authority. And the funding sources include local, state, and federal money, as well as private donations. The benefits, as we've seen throughout this past year, it provides gap funding for the development of affordable and supportive housing for the populations that already exist within the community. So in this case, for instance, I mentioned the Burke Oil site, and Western Pacific Holdings is currently the one that is looking to develop that site into 100 affordable housing units. So if there's additional funding that is needed, and the developer applies for this trust and receives the funding, they will get whatever is not being covered through other funding sources. So that developer will be able to have 100% of that project funded with this gap funding. Of course, the board has to be the one to select the project. The developer would submit their application and be considered for it. Now, affordable housing projects, as you know, are very competitive for that additional funding. So since we have a group here of 19 cities and more that can join, we're able to concentrate this funding within the SELA collaborative area. And also the trust funds, because this is all affordable housing, contributes towards our regional housing needs assessment for every city. And as you know, here in Bell Gardens, we have about 512 units that are needed based on our housing element cycle that was last done. So we have to come up with a development of 512 units, considering those are units that are from market rate, moderate, low income, and very low income. So the trust implements the deployment of this funds through the Affordable Housing Trust, and again, it's through the COG membership that you have this. So the programs that the trust can consider are outlined here in this pie shape, and it depends on the availability and the eligibility of the projects. Right now, the reason you see this one pie shape out is because that's what the funding is concentrating on right now. So we've received funding in the trust to be able to do multifamily rental construction projects. In the future, there will also be money for down payment assistance, rental rehab, pre-development loans, and affordable accessory dwelling unit loans. So right now, the funds are being concentrated on multifamily development. The trust itself is composed of a trust board with 7 directors that are elected officials that are appointed by the COG board. And there's also 2 directors that are housing experts appointed by the city managers committee. Now, the cost itself, I pointed to the $15,000 annual fee. It's based on population. So being that we're between 30,000 and 60,000 residents, that's why we have a cost of $15,000 a year. And again, withdrawal, if you decide to continue and you pay that fee after July 1st, anytime after that, you would have to give the board 6 months' notice before you can withdraw. Now, staff, looking at the potential projects, we've been actively approaching developers, not just developers that are currently in the city, but also other developers that we know do affordable housing. We're trying to put together projects here in the city. But right now, the one that we have in place that's moving forward is the Western Pacific Holdings project. And again, I mentioned the 100 units, 82 rental units, and 18 for sale units that are all affordable units. So that would be one that would qualify. Western Pacific Housing has not moved forward yet, although we've set meetings up with them. We've told them about the application process. We try to connect them with the COG board, but to this day they have not taken advantage of that, but not to say that they cannot do that in the future. So that is still a project that's very much able to get this money if they apply and go forward. Board of Directors, these are the folks that are currently a part of this. There's 7 elected officials. City of Whittier, City of Montebello, you can see them all here. Lakewood, Commerce, Long Beach, City of Bell. Last one I can't see here. It's cut off here. And also there is a member who's a housing expert, a staff member. So currently there's a vacancy for an experienced housing member. And I've indicated to the board that I would be happy to volunteer to fill that position and represent the city of Bell Gardens. So overall, when you look at the capital funding sources that the trust has, County of LA Homeless Initiative Grant, total of $4,113,500 has been secured for fiscal years 22 and 23. County of LA permanent local housing allocation grant of $1.3 million. State of California Local Housing Trust Fund. This may apply in May of 2024, $5 million. And then the SCAG's REAP 2.0 monies for pre-development, $5 million. And there's additional capital sources that are pointed out here through La Casa, through the county MHSA, the state budget allocation, private philanthropic foundation funding, and federal funding programs as well. So all in all, the trust really wants to show you that they're trying to collaborate here. By having the strength of 19 cities and more joining in the future, they feel that they can achieve the goal of affordable housing here in the SELA Collaborative. Staff's opinion is that we continue in this trust and that we put in the $15,000 in the future, for this next fiscal year. We really feel that we have a good opportunity of obtaining this additional gap funding for our Burke Oil site. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. And does any member of the council have any questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like to make some comments. Being part of the COG, I want to advocate for us to continue as a city to support the 19 other cities that are part of this trust already. There's a total of 27 cities within the COG, and I feel that although, yes, we have one project right now, we may be able to have more to bring into our city. And even if we don't have those projects, being able to help our neighboring cities is going to help everybody as a whole, not only here in SELA, but the 20 cities that are involved. So I really advocate for us to continue within this trust.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilmember Chavez?
Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to staff for bringing this item forward, and it's that time where we have to make that decision now to whether or not we want to proceed. I also want to echo Councilmember De Leon Sanchez's point about remaining and staying involved within the Housing Trust Fund, right? It is, if we talk about the issues that are directly impacting not only our city, our community, but the region as a whole, right? It's housing and the homelessness crisis that we have. So for me, I mean, currently serving on the Los Angeles County Affordable Housing Solutions Agency, La Casa, we continuously are looking. We have a ballot measure coming to us in November for the whole county to replace Measure H. And the way we see it, it's we need to get some of those funds back down to our city, if not to our city, back to the region, to this side of the county, right? It's a team effort. Our communities are so connected. They're separated by the railroads or the river, really, right? Transients walk from one city to the next. Our residents move from one city to the next. And I think, as our director Romo put it, collaboration is key here. So I would also like to advocate for us to remain part of the Housing Trust Fund. And I'm very, very positive that there will be funding coming to our region, especially for the fact that we have about 4 or 5 members who sit on La Casa from our region of the county, which is for a long time been unheard of, right? For a long time, we've been always getting the short end of the stick when it comes to getting some of these funds and the money. So this is a great opportunity, and I feel like we should definitely take advantage of it. So with that said, I'd also like to throw my support in there. And if no one has any more comments, I would make a motion, but I'll wait.
Thank you, Councilmember Chavez. Does anyone have any other comments? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion to continue or withdraw the membership in the Gateway Cities Affordable Housing Trust?
I'd like to make a motion to continue being a member of the Gateways Housing Trust Fund.
I second that motion.
City Clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Yes, thank you. Members of the council and Successor Agency Chavez,
Yes?
Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena,
Yes.
and Mayor Gomez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
City Manager, please announce discussion item number 15.
Thank you, Mayor Gomez. This item number 15 is the presentation to the council of our annual comprehensive financial report for fiscal year 22-23. Before I turn it over to Manuel Carrillo, our Director of Administrative and Financial Services, just to tee this up for the council, it's good business practice, but there's also legal requirements that the city prepare professional financial statements that are in accordance with government accounting standards. We don't get to decide what those standards are. We have to prepare financial statements in a way that can be read by residents, bondholders, third parties, and look at the information in a framework that's approved and adopted by a standards board. This is something that we take seriously. It's a lot of this work is behind the scenes. It's a lot of numbers crunching. It's a lot of data that's being put together and reported in accordance with these standards. So I just want to thank, on a daily basis, many of the staff throughout the city of Bell Gardens, obviously in our finance and accounting area, but also at every department as they're issuing POs, as they're signing invoices, as payrolls being made. All of these things go in on a daily basis into a set of annual financial statements. And it is the basis of our budgeting processes, our internal controls, our fraud controls, things of that nature. So with that, I will turn this over to Manuel Carrillo, our Director of Finance and Administrative Services. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Mayor Gomez and council members, as Mr. O'Kelly indicated, within the finance world, there are a few big moments that are significant to city government and city finance. And of course, passing a budget is one, having a successful audit is another one. So I just want to, before I pass it over to Mr. Ron Lopez, who is our managing partner with the firm of Gruber & Lopez, who has been our auditing firm for several years now. I just want to reiterate what Mr. O'Kelly was stating there, where such a significant part of the city's finances and making sure that these critical things are met. And just to thank our finance staff for their efforts, their efforts in putting everything together. It's very critical, very significant to make sure that we do this in a timely fashion. Just to make sure that you are aware of this, the finance department did lose two very critical positions in this last fiscal year, one being the accounting manager and one being our actual accountant. And we were very lucky in being able to successfully bring in two really top-notch candidates that were able to help us get through that process and pick up and hit the ground running as if nothing happened. So just want to thank everyone in finance. With that said, I will now pass it on to Mr. Lopez for his presentation on the audit results for fiscal year 22-23. Mr. Lopez, whenever you're ready, sir.
Yes, thank you. Could we go to the next slide, please? Can you guys hear me?
Mr. Lopez, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Mr. Lopez, the audio is coming through somewhat kind of a robotic, tinny sound.
Okay, let me, hold on 1 second.
It's actually kind of Charlie Brown sound. It's still not coming through. Do you by any chance have another audio source or another a speaker or some source?
Okay, how about now?
That sounds great.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Yeah, sorry about that. Next slide, please. Yes, so in presenting the June 30th, 2023 financials, I just wanted to kind of go over the audit process. As mentioned before, the audit was performed in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards, which are a little bit more strict than regular auditing standards. And the objective of the audit process is to ensure that the city's financial statements present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position, which is the balance sheet, and the statement of activities, which is the income statement of the city of Bell Garden. Next slide, please. To meet these objectives of the audit and in accordance with the auditing standards, we perform various tests. Some of those more significant procedures include documentation and testing of internal controls over all accounting processes. And on a sample basis, we test disbursements, transfers, and journal entries for compliance with city policies and, where applicable, compliance with state and federal grant requirements. Next slide, please. We also confirm from third parties, we confirm cash, investments, certain revenues and receivables, long-term debt commitments, as well as obtain and analyze attorney responses. We perform compliance and allowable cost tests on the use of federal funds, and we reconcile city's general ledgers to detailed subledgers, and then we evaluate the reasonableness of the city's estimates and assumptions. Next slide, please. The audit products produced is the annual comprehensive financial report, which includes the financial statements. We also provide a report on compliance and internal control over financial reporting in accordance with government auditing standards. And we produce the appropriation and GAN limit report, as well as the communication letter to those charged with governance, which is also known as the management letter. Next slide, please. The results of the 6/30/23 audit, we issued an unmodified opinion on the city's financial statements as of April 17th, 2024. And an unmodified opinion is the highest opinion an auditor can issue. We noted no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal control under government auditing standards. And we noted no non-compliance, which is material to the financial statements under government auditing standards. And the appropriations limit disclosed no findings. Next slide, please. Financial reporting, the city has been the recipient of the GFOA Achievement Award for Excellence in Financial Reporting, and they received that for the 6/30/22 audit. And the June 30th, 2023 audit will be submitted to the GFOA shortly. Next slide, please. The preparation of the annual report includes our audit opinion and financial statements, In addition to the following sections, there's a letter of transmittal, management's discussion and analysis, and the statistical section, which includes 22 separate charts on various functions of the city. We believe the 2023 annual financial report will again receive the GFOA award. Next slide, please. Few financial highlights. Again, management's discussion and analysis, which is on page 4 of the annual report, is an important component of the report, and it'll give you a good understanding of the financial highlights of the June 30th, 2023 fiscal year. And some of those highlights include the largest government-wide revenue source for the fiscal year was the club card taxes, and that was about $18.9 million, which increased $4.7 million or 1.33% from the preceding fiscal year. And this was due to an increase in casino operations returning to normal and reaching its highest return. Next slide, please. The government activity expenses decreased by $5.7 million or 9% from the preceding fiscal year. And assets and deferred outflows of the city exceeded liabilities and deferred inflows at the close of the fiscal year, resulting in a net position or equity of $73.1 million. And this was an increase of $12.1 million. The water utility system and golf course revenues totaled $1.6 million, which increased by $89,000 from the preceding fiscal year. And this was, the water utility system increased by $302,000 due to the water rate increase, and the golf course increased by $46,000. Next slide, please. The city's investment in capital assets for governmental and business type activities was $107 million, and that's net of accumulated depreciation, and that was as compared to the prior year of $107.6 million. Long-term debt increased by $22 million from the prior year amount of $103 million, and that was mainly due to OPEB, which is other post-employment benefit obligations, as well as the increase in net pension liability and accrued leave payable. Next slide, please. In the fund financial statements, the city's governmental funds, the total governmental funds, reported combined ending fund balance of $44.4 million, and that was an increase of $7.4 million, or 20% from the prior year of $37 million. In the general fund, the city's general fund actual revenues exceeded budgeted revenues by $6.4 million, and actual expenditures were less than budget by $150,000. So the overall increase in fund balance, which was net income, was $5 million, which increased equity to about $35.4 million. Next slide, please. Overall, it was a good year for the city, and if there's any questions or comments on the annual report or anything else, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mayor, if I could just make one more comment. So say thank you to the managing partner, Mr. Lopez, for that report. So I mentioned we prepare the financial statements, and the key part that Mr. Lopez stated here is they're a third-party independent CPA firm that audits those financial reports and then renders an opinion on their accuracy. Also renders an opinion on our compliance with federal grant expenditure rules and reporting rules and things of that nature. So really what you're hearing here is that the information that we've prepared that's attached to this report, at least in the opinion of the auditors, to the extent of all the work that they've done, is accurate. This information we posted online. It's there in perpetuity. It's fact-based, and we use it as part of our budgeting process that will be coming up here in the next 30 days or so. And so really what I hope the council takes away from this is that our financial statements are prepared accurately. As Mr. Lopez mentioned, those were all positive results when you see assets increasing, when you see revenues exceeding budget, and you see expenditures being below budget. There are liabilities that continue to increase regarding pension plans and other post-employment benefits. That's an issue that most all cities are currently dealing with. So with that, I'd just end with those summary comments there. And this is a document that will be posted online as early as tomorrow, and it'll be there for everybody to review.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments on this item?
I just want to say thank you for the very thorough presentation, knowing that our staff is doing a great job with the budget and looking at all the assets that we've gotten and, you know, the increase in some of those funds. So I want to thank the staff. Thank you very much for doing that.
Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion to receive and file the reports?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Barcena and a second by Councilmember Sanchez Leon. Clerk, City Clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the Council and Successor Agency Chavez,
Yes.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barcena,
Yes.
and Mayor Gomez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We will now move to member comments. Councilmember Chavez?
All right, all right, all right. Can everybody hear me? Yep.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'll try to speed this up. Great meeting, everybody. Want to start off by mentioning I had the opportunity to attend the Gateways City Workforce Development Opportunity Seminar in Cerritos College on the 12th of April. I'm glad to see that we had our staff present there. It was Giovanni, I think, from the Recreation Community Services Department. So I was glad to see that. It was great to have a conversation briefly with U.S. Senator LaFonza Butler and just kind of discuss, challenges and issues we've had around employment, not only here in Bell Gardens, but just around the region. And it's so important, and I'm really happy to see that she's came down and she's participated locally here in our region. Want to give everybody a heads up. So in the past, I mentioned that I've been trying to work with the Sela Bicycle Center. There is a Sela bike ride planned this upcoming Thursday. We're meeting up at 4:30 at the Sela Bicycle Center, and then riding bikes all the way down to the Hollydale Park. It'll be from 4:30. It's about a 10-mile bike ride. If folks don't have bikes or helmets, I mean, we have those at the Sela Bicycle Center. Again, this is incredible work that Christian Vasquez is doing, a local from Southeast LA. I think he participated yesterday in Ciclavia. So I'm really happy to see that work that he's doing here, and I'm really glad that I've been able to get to know him and see some of the stuff that we're trying to plan here for Southeast. And we're working on that half marathon. We want to make that happen. Another thing, I had the opportunity last week to attend Cal City's City Leaders Summit up in Sacramento. Obviously our state is in a budget deficit, so that is not good, but I did have an opportunity to speak with both our Assemblywoman Blanca Pacheco and our State Senator Lina Gonzalez. With Assemblywoman Pacheco, it was much more personal level. It was luckily there wasn't other cities present at the time, so I was able to really push forward, and obviously not in this cycle due to the budget deficit, but perhaps in the next cycle about increase some more funding for that pool. In the past, I know, and I mentioned to her that in the past, Assemblywoman Cristina Garcia was very supportive, who was our Assemblywoman then, and she even got to be president of one of our events and present to us a check. So I made sure to remember that for her and reiterate that we're expecting a check from her. And from our conversations, I think she was committed to putting forward a request, an earmark request in the future for our great city. So we'll see next year. One of the things I talked about was with them was about protecting the PLH funds, the permanent local housing allocation funds that we use to subsidize our rental assistance programs that we have in our city. Because that is administered through the Housing Community Development Department for the state. So we need to ensure that we continually have those, because I know from my understanding in the past, when I've had conversations with Director Romo, there is a wait list for folks that want or are in need when it comes to rental assistance. So I'm really happy to see that. And again, it goes to show the need. So I advocated to make sure that we continually hold that program. And another thing that we talked about was in regards to Caltrans and how difficult it could be to talk and even meet with Caltrans. So, I was very assertive when it comes to the issues around our entrances and exits around the 710 freeway. I had an interesting conversation with some of the reps But at the end of the day, I mean, again, our communities consistently get the short end of the stick. So I yesterday went and took it upon myself, and I went on social media and I tagged everybody, and it seems to be ringing some ears. So I'm glad to see that that's happening. In fact, I think even the mayor of the city of Downey was also supportive of that. Finally, Earth Day was incredible. I'm really happy to see the incredible program that we had. Thank you to the other amazing staff, and also the art component that we had, the art walk and the fashion show. I really appreciate all the amazing work that our staff does. And then all the local artists that came out. Really appreciate, again, the participation. This program or this work wouldn't be what it is without them. So really happy to see that. And it was my first ever Earth Day event here in the city. In the past, I had never participated, so I'm glad to see that we got to plant a tree, and it was a great experience. Finally, the reason why I am attending virtually is because I'm currently in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm attending a a seminar and regarding housing for Latinos across the U.S. So, obviously Naleo just doesn't focus on city council members. It's diverse. It has school board members, community college members, state senators. So we have folks from New York, Nebraska, Florida, you name it. And we're identifying different characteristics around housing for Latinos particularly, and we're looking at different case studies from folks of Latinos that live in Florida and are first-time, home buyers. And then for me, what I find interesting is how the transition that happens or the connection or correlations that there might be around Latinos gaining home ownership, and then one's consensus around parties' affiliation as well. So, which kind of goes to show the different the swing states that now is Arizona and Nevada, which it was an interesting conversation and being here in Arizona. So with that said, that pretty much concludes my report. Thank you so much, everybody, for the opportunity, and I'll see y'all back in California.
Madam Mayor, I need to step away from the dais for a little bit. Can we take a 1-minute break?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, are we ready to resume? Okay. Comments. Councilmember Sanchez?
I want to thank everybody that participating once again with the BGPD community classes for 6 weeks. Congratulations. Reminder to everybody that did the START training, thank you so much for taking 3 days out of your time to be first responders when we have an emergency. That was something really important to me that I was trying to bring to the city for a long time. So the fact that we had so many residents participate in that, I hope that we can also do that in English because I know that one was in Spanish. Seniors, don't forget to apply to the scholarships. The deadline is May 3rd. You can also apply for your graduation banner program. That application is due May 1st. And then we still have kindergarten all the way to 12th grade for the Cesar Chavez Art and Essay Contest, which the last day to submit is May 6th. We are going to have a mother and daughter golf clinic in collaboration with Latina golfers and Janice Hahn Golf Initiative for the Cela region. That event's going to take place on May 23rd. Space is limited, so if you're interested in signing up for that, please call the golf course at 562-806-7788. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Barcena.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank staff, everyone from every department for your support. Specifically, though, with this being Arts Month, I want to thank the Recreation and Community Services Department. I was out there at the Art Walk event, and it was just great. I heard nothing but great comments from everyone, including all the volunteers from our arts community and all the vendors. I was also very supported in the last few days of signing up people. We got over 30, I want to say like 36, 34, something like that, vendors. There was some coordination that went on between me and the Recreation and Community Services, and it worked out very, very well in these last few days. So I want to encourage us to continue supporting the arts, advertising for our events with plenty of time in advance so that we can get the turnout that we owe our residents to have, so that they can see that we support the arts. We have an event coming up also supported by the community of artists. It's called Dia del Niño, and that's what I was alluding to during the art, the mural item. I was talking about Maricruz Ibaja. She's a resident that is currently teaching about 10 kids how to paint. She's been doing that for the last 3 months. And at the end of next week, on Saturday, we are going to have a day of the Children's Day, Dia del Niño. And these 10 kids are going to showcase their paintings at this event. So that's going to be very special. We're going to have local nonprofit organizations teaming up, and at Veterans Park that day we're going to be having a great event. So I want to make sure that we support this event by promoting it as much as we can. So I'm asking staff if we can please share that on our social media, both city and Recreation and Community Services. It will be highly appreciated. We're only a week away. And again, it's going to be a great event. I invite everyone to come by. And also, I'd like to check in about the skate jam. I know that we had to cancel it due to weather conditions. I'd like to know what is a good date in the future so that we can start promoting it and also make it a successful event. And last but not least, I want to thank the city manager for that report. It was very eye-opening, and I'm glad we're financially sound. And those are all my comments. Thank you for everything, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Barcena. My comments, I'd like to start with the CalBike Bicycle Summit that I attended. I'd like to report back on that. So as I had mentioned before, I attended the CalBike Bicycle Summit in San Diego. I traveled down there, a combination of car, bike, and train. So I was able to ride if you've never done it, the Pacific Coast Trail that goes from Oceanside all the way to Encinitas is beautiful. So it was great to see great bike infrastructure. CELA was well represented at the summit. Attendees included Chris Vasquez of CELA Bicycle Center. He was out there. Dr. Wilma Franco from the CELA Collaborative. A couple of cyclists from our Cumbia Bike Club that is out of Maywood, and myself. And, you know, some of the topics that we covered are, for example, community-centered traffic safety. So going beyond enforcement and some of the things that we can do to ensure that those who are riding bikes through the city, that they have an infrastructure that allows them to ride safely and legally, as opposed to, you know, becoming targets of either accidents or of citations because they are not riding correctly as they should. So we talked about that. We talked about seniors that are challenging climate change through active and public transportation. You know, as we're talking about Older Americans Month, you know, one of the big themes is to maintain your independence as long as possible, and mobility is one of those things. You know, if you're not able to get around on your own, it really does affect an older person's sense of self, of their independence, and so cycling is a great way to help keep them moving along. We have, you know, adult e-trikes now, so they're tricycles for adults with batteries in them, so they can get around. You need one of those? Okay. We also talked about adding bicycling to California curriculum standards. You know, if we start getting kids at schools involved in bicycling as part of their the course of their curriculum, I think it makes them more aware of what's going on in terms of climate change. There was discussion of a lot of great programs that are going on right now in other parts of the state. Active transportation evaluation and monitoring, and most importantly right now, I think that everyone needs to be aware of this CARB e-bike incentive project. I know that I've talked about it before. This is coming. This is coming. A lot of our local retailers have already signed on to provide, be retailers for those e-bikes. Persons who are eligible for the vouchers, they have to meet certain income criteria. And the importance of that, the reason why we all need to be aware of it, is that we're going to start seeing more people on the streets on e-bikes. E-bikes can take people faster. We have, you know, we need to make sure that they are getting around safely, that they understand how to get around safely. And we need to promote it, because right now, you know, gas is what, $5.50, $5.60 a gallon, right? And to the extent that we can provide people with an alternate mode of transportation, to combine that with, you know, public transportation, I think that will be a great help to many of them. One thing that I do want to mention is that community-based organizations there is a $25,000 grant that is available for community-based organizations to publicize this information. So if you are a CBO in CELA, and you want to get involved, you don't have to be a bike organization. You can be, as long as you're a nonprofit, you can apply for those funds. You can get more information at info@ebikeincentives.org. So if you're interested in that, again, $25,000 grants to help publicize this information, to make sure that people have all the information of where they can go, where they can apply for the voucher, and where they can use their voucher. And I saw all of the great video and photos of Earth Day, and I was sad that I missed out, but it looks like it was a beautiful event, and I hope to be able to attend next year as well. I especially loved the fashions. The fashions were amazing, so thank you to staff and to rec staff and to everyone who made that possible. It was a beautiful, beautiful event. And with that, I will conclude my comments. If there's no objection by the members, I will now adjourn the City Council Successor Agency Joint Meeting at 8:18